In ancient times, a secret group abused forbidden power, and divine guardians unleashed beasts that later parasitized humans, waiting to awaken. Sai Huang rose as the heart of the modern world, crowned by proud metal towers. Amid rain and neon lights, news of strange attacks spread, drowning the city in unease. The story shifts to the crowded central train station. A train screeches in with sparks flying like a bad omen. The carriage is packed tight, thick with exhaustion and pressure. Among the chaos, a boy named Qinshi clutches his head, staggering. Lost in music, he's a fresh graduate confused about life and pushed into adulthood. Like many youths, Qinshi left his hometown for Shihuang seeking survival and success. A strangely dressed, heavy-set man also sits in the car. Has an anomaly hunter, dozing off against a pole. Behind him, a massive monster silently emerges unseen by its host. Deadly danger creeps close unnoticed. Passengers panic at the sight of the horrific creature. Screams erupt, the crowd tramples over itself, sweeping Qinshi away. Startled, he yanks off his headphones and gets cursed amid the chaos. The hunter barely moves before being slain instantly by the beast. The creature growls broken sounds, spreading terror through the train. Someone cries out in despair. It's a savage parasitic being. The parasitic beast, an ancient spirit beast, manipulates desires and seizes human bodies. It massacres passengers wildly, blood and screams merge as Qinshi is stunned by the horror. The station's safety broadcast drowns under explosions and tremors as the train arrives. Onlookers gape as a train of hell charges into the platform. Victims are hurled out, bodies shattered on the ground. The train finally halts. Passengers flood out, screaming and trampling each other to escape the monster. Qinshi is trapped, unable to move. Blood, injuries, and desperate cries turn the station into pure despair. Belongings lie scattered amid the blood-smeared floor. In the wreckage, only Qinshi and a few survivors remain. He stands frozen, staring heavily at the roaring beast. Its incoherent mutterings drip with madness and destruction. Qinshi realizes he's facing a host consumed by mental collapse. His eyes dart, calculating a route past the creature. But seeing a trembling grandmother and child behind him, he hesitates. Resolve flares. Qinshi decides to distract the beast so they can flee. He fakes confidence, lying about his running skill despite knowing his limits. In the dark, a mysterious consciousness watches him with twisted curiosity. Qinshi charges forward, confronting the monster head-on. He runs and shouts, taunting it to draw its focus. The reckless move works. The beast turns and chases him. But it's faster than expected, catching him easily. In despair, Qinshi realizes he misjudged its power. His sacrifice lets the grandmother and child escape to safety with soldiers. A brutal blow sends Qinshi flying, blood gushing violently. His body slams onto the floor, shaking the carriage. The stench of blood clouds his fading mind as life slips away. The creature stares down at him with the contempt of a predator. Despite the agony, Qinshi lets out a bitter laugh at his own foolishness. His fading gaze lingers on the tightly shut train door. In his haze, a question echoes in his mind. He wonders if this is where his fate ends. Outside, the little girl cries desperately as he's left behind. The cold commander prioritizes safety, refusing a reckless rescue order. The carriage overflows with corpses as a slimy, smoky anomaly spreads. That entity slowly creeps toward Qinshi as his life ebbs away. In his dying breaths, he strains to move, roaring inside in defiance. Racked with hatred, he recalls his mother's scorn cutting deep like a blade. His school days were filled with bullying and venomous ridicule. His first love ended in public rejection and unforgettable shame. Blood gushes endlessly, his breath crushed under invisible weight. Even as his mind shatters, a fierce will to win ignites within him. The monster nears, ready to deliver the killing blow. Behind it, a strange black substance silently manifests. With his last strength, Qinshi screams a vow to live in triumph. His declaration transforms the dark mass into a mystical being. A golden beast of light dives into him, unleashing boundless energy. The spirit beast laughs excitedly, as if greeting an old friend. Qinshi panics, thinking it's a death hallucination, but a voice denies it. Strange energy swirls around him, forming radiant armor like a reborn warrior. When the beast's punch lands, newly empowered Qinshi blocks it effortlessly. The fused entity speaks, affirming their shared existence. It promises him hope, and Qinshi responds with a cold, determined stare. The monster roars in fury, eyes blazing red with hatred. Bullets rain from outside but bounce harmlessly off its warped body. In his new form, Qinshi grows sharp, unnatural claws. They glow crimson, radiating lethal energy. He roars, gathering his strength for a charge. These claws can sever the link between parasite and host. He slashes through the carriage, laughing wildly as the space trembles. A shadow is cleaved apart as Qinshi coolly declares liberation. The beast's disguise fades, revealing a frail, drained man. The man collapses, body limp and lifeless. Filthy slime oozes from his facial orifices. The beast's spirit drifts out, fading like mist. Clearly, Qinshi's attack severed the parasitic bond. Faced with his glare, the spirit beast flees in terror. Qinshi stomps down, his power denting the ground. He darts forward at blinding speed, hunting the spirit like prey. Fangs bared, he declares manners are no longer needed. Qinshi devours the spirit beast instantly, grimacing at the awful taste. A smug smirk flashes before a new crisis hits. Footsteps thunder behind him, making him tense up. He spots the Bureau of Security forces closing in. As they meet, the agents freeze at his monstrous form. Meanwhile, Chinch's body begins mutating uncontrollably. His head spins as nausea and discomfort surge violently. The cruel truth dawns: he too has been infected. The disguise falls away, revealing crimson, sinister hands. Staring into the glass, Chin-shi panics at the sight of horns and a face no longer his own. A terrified scream escapes as he rejects his monstrous change. He wonders in confusion if this is real or some cruel joke. The Bureau agents freeze, unsure how to even explain what stands before them. Kin's eyes fall on an unconscious man frozen in utter fear. He looks down at his hands, doubting his very existence. Realizing he's possessed, the spirit beast inside claims credit for saving him. When asked about the victim, it curtly replies the man's merely unconscious. Without hesitation, the security team opens fire. Chin-shi dodges bullets with inhuman speed, yelling at the entity controlling his body. A heavy gunshot rings out amid the chaos. Chin-shi panics, realizing he has the new target. A tranquilizer round hits him, stinging with pain and shame, but he stays standing. The drug proves completely useless against his altered form. The agents immediately escalate to heavy suppression tactics. Control of the body shifts entirely to the spirit beast. Its eyes flash with murderous rage and hatred. It charges the attackers just as another bullet flies in. With a flick, the bullet twists midair and reverses course. It returns to its shooter, promising an imminent explosion. Everything happens in an instant. The spirit shatters the window, leaping out with Chin-shi in tow. It darts nimbly between buildings, vanishing into the night. The blast shakes the scene, leaving the Bureau to rescue the wounded. Outside, a woman with a dog walks by, her eyes sharp and knowing. She approaches the security captain, tension etched on her face. She impatiently demands the capture report. The hesitant reply earns her a cold, disappointed glare. She bluntly criticizes their poor performance. Turning to her canine partner, she stresses time pressure. It answers with mocking sarcasm. The blonde woman smirks, casually suggesting they use their true forms. In an instant, the dog morphs into a grown man. The transformation is smooth and instinctive. After covering himself, he notes that beast form earns more trust and works better socially. The man Xiao Bai quickly deduces the culprit from traces, prompting her to ask about movement range. Xiao Bai confidently says the target can't have gone far due to unstable fusion, while she insists on summoning a senior occultist. He flatly refuses to join any organization, claiming occultists live beyond authority. Xiao Bai walks to a seat in the train to prepare. He sits, focusing his spirit completely. Ignoring her impatience, he demands silence to begin sensing the trail. They swiftly agree on payment without argument. Xiaobai closes his eyes, beginning psychic tracing. His spirit leaves his body, merging with the unseen current of space. Elsewhere, Chin-shi rushes through the city like a gust of wind. Suddenly, he feels something probing his consciousness. From afar, Xiaobai realizes something else is watching him back. The entity stares into his mind with a taunting, wicked grin. Cold sweat runs down Xiaobai's face as danger surges. He's dragged into a pursuit across the mental realm. Terrified, he cuts the link to save himself, but is one fatal second too late. The opponent strikes back, mocking his amateur tracking skills. At the scene, a guard suddenly notices something wrong. The blonde woman turns to see Xiaobai's face gone pale. Foam spills from his mouth as his body convulses violently. She immediately orders contact with the emergency team. In his collapse, Xiaobai struggles to mutter broken words. He warns of extreme danger, wishing her good luck. Grabbing his collar, she desperately demands exact coordinates. Xiaobai weakly gives them before blacking out completely. The woman instantly commands a pursuit operation. A shadowy figure appears at once, bowing for orders. The subordinate receives the command and departs immediately. In a blink, he vanishes faster than the wind. The woman smiles confidently, sure no one can outrun her agent. Meanwhile, she keeps moving at superhuman speed. Gasping, he questions the spirit for seizing control. The creature answers firmly. It insists they've already merged into one being. Qin-shi grumbles about dizziness and his fear of heights. The spirit mocks him, saying the ground's worse, it has pursuers. When Qin-shi demands to stop, it snaps at him not to flail midair. Ignoring it, he wrests control and instantly loses balance. He plummets like a stone, crashing painfully to the ground. Luckily, the fall doesn't kill him. Xiao Hai mocks his stubbornness, saying the armor saved him and recovery will take time. Qin-shi pants, accusing Xiao Hai of leading him the wrong way. Nearby, a ragged middle-aged man flees security, begging for mercy. Just then, Qin-shi steps out of an alley. He accidentally witnesses the entire chase. Instinctively, he dives into a trash bin to hide. Once the agents leave, he exhales and asks Xiao Hai for the next move. Xiao Hai suggests finding a temporary hideout. It points to the clock tower, saying his old place is compromised. Qin-shi panics, fearing they'll search his home. He remembers his sensitive computer files and regrets not deleting them. Xiao Hai sighs, mocking human cluelessness. Suddenly, a dark figure drops from above. The newcomer lands on Qin-shi's shoulder and hangs from a lamppost like a bat. A cold voice orders him to freeze. The man declares an arrest. While Xiao Hai laughs, escape seems hopeless. Chuatbei flips down gracefully, radiating authority. He offers freedom in exchange for surrendering the parasitic spirit. Xiao Hai urges Qin to fight. To its shock, Qinshi agrees to cooperate. Chuatbei commands him to kneel humiliatingly, but Qinshi's eyes tell another story. Seizing the moment, Qinshi suddenly strikes. Chuatbei catches the punch effortlessly with terrifying reflexes. He scoffs that the move is pathetic. Xiao Hai boosts power, evolving Qinshi's claws. Excited, it grants temporary armament as Qinshi solemnly thanks it. His next punch is far stronger, forcing Chuatbei to block. The impact flings him spinning through the air. Chuatbei skids across the ground, carving a deep groove. Qinshi thrills at the claw's overwhelming power. Xiao Hai proudly explains their relics forged by united spirits. Chuatbei darkens, declaring this defiance a violation of law. Qinshi smirks, arrogance gleaming in his eyes. He openly challenges authority, vowing to fight to the end, as Xiao Hai laughs in approval. Chuatbei roars his name, accelerating into counterattack. He avoids direct combat, circling at blinding speed and taunting in a chilling tone. Xiao Hai warns of danger from behind just in time. Qinshi reacts too slowly and gets kicked flying by Chuatbei. The impact leaves him clutching his stomach in agony. Xiao Hai reassures him to stay calm, he's still got backup. Qinshi snaps back but knows the spirit just saved him from a fatal hit. Chuatbei charges again, spinning like a tornado. In desperation, Qinshi grabs a nearby bottle. He plans to use it as a weapon. Chuatbei easily shatters it, filling the air with dust. The dust makes him pause briefly, roaring in anger. Qinshi seizes the chance, declaring he won't be cornered easily. Chuatbei instinctively blocks the strike. Looking down, he sees his armor torn by the claws. Qinshi pants in satisfaction as Xiao Hai boasts about their sharpness. Chuatbei erupts in rage, his body glowing fiercely. He screams threats to rip them apart, making Qinshi suspicious. Xiao Hai realizes Chuatbei's parasitic spirit has surfaced. Qinshi understands his blow broke the balance between host and parasite, driving him berserk. Chuatbei fully beastifies, roaring like a wild animal. He demands the spirit inside Qinshi. Qinshi sweats, realizing the foe is completely possessed. Chuatbei attacks relentlessly from all directions. Even with warnings, Qinshi can't dodge in time. Has pummeled non-stop, leaving Xiao Hai anxious. Chuatbei spins madly like a raging wheel. His speed blurs vision, dizzying anyone who looks. Gritting his teeth, Qinshi bets everything. He unleashes his full strength in a counterattack. With enhanced claws, he blocks the incoming strike. Xiao Hai's coordination keeps him steady. Qinshi successfully knocks Chuatbei back. The enemy crashes into a nearby truck. Qinshi exhales in relief while Xiao Hai laughs at their growing synergy. Qinshi smugly admits the teamwork isn't bad. But Chuatbei has vanished from the crash site. A sudden sound comes from behind. Before Qinshi can react, danger closes in. Claws slash through the air in a flash. But the strike is just an illusion to mislead him. Chuatbei appears behind, coldly declaring his claim the kill zone. Qinshi's neck is locked tight, panic sets in. Xiao Hai warns it's a lethal hold with no escape. Qinshi's face pales as his consciousness fades. Chuatbei laughs triumphantly, sure victory is his. Gasping, Qinshi doubts Xiao Hai's protection. Xiao Hai admits it's not fully recovered, their odds are grim. It thanks Qinshi for their shared existence, finding meaning even in parting. At the brink of death, Qinshi suddenly rebels, signaling Xiao Hai to act. His body collapses as his consciousness fades. Xiao Hai bursts out, deliberately taunting the enemy. Lured by greed, Chuatbei abandons Qinshi and chases Xiao Hai. Xiao Hai dodges deftly, avoiding each strike. Amid the chaos, it dives back into Qinshi's body. Qinshi awakens, eyes cold and murderous. He declares it ends now, ready to free the foe with a special claw strike. The blow cuts straight into Chuatbei as Xiao Hai thrills in anticipation. Xiao Hai gloats, certain of victory. The razor claws sever the bond between Chuatbei and his parasitic spirit. Chuatbei screams in despair, refusing to accept his fate. He panics, completely disoriented. Chuatbei flees into the darkness as Xiao Hai sighs in relief, and a weakened Qinshi asks whether to pursue. Xiao Hai considers, then decides to spare the defeated foe. They tease each other before leaving, abandoning the chaotic scene. Soon after, Bureau agents arrive to seal off the area. Chuatbei reverts to human form, waking in a daze. A soldier harshly questions his mission failure. Chuatbei mutters about reporting immediately to Captain Bu Bing. The soldier grows suspicious, probing their connection to the captain. Without waiting, he points his gun, declaring Zone 9 accepts no outsiders. The gunshot rings, Chuatbei dies instantly. That night, in Sihuang's luxurious skyscraper, the blonde woman faces a tense meeting thick with scheming. Ming Liang mocks Captain Bu Bing's constant meddling, overshadowing other divisions. The blonde woman bristles but stays silent. Zhang Chun sneers about the failed capture. She counters that data collection was the goal. Zhang Chun keeps taunting, calling the large mobilization for one target ridiculous. She stays quiet, fury flickering in her eyes. Ming Liang coldly concludes that earning merit means never crossing boundaries. Zhang Chun jokes about testing new weapons, angering her when she learns the project was reassigned. Mingxiang gently soothes her, implying Bu Bing still holds priority and her future remains bright. Nguyenjiang swallows the seething rage inside. She coldly excuses herself under the guise of official duty. Outside, her phone suddenly rings. She answers curtly, voice wary. A mysterious voice offers help finding the target for double the price. Meanwhile, Qin Shi blends into the crowd, scrolling through his phone. An urgent Saihuang alert shocks him. His name is now on the wanted list. Opening the details, he finds his identity and movements fully exposed. Now mocks that fame costs freedom. Qin Shi bitterly admits it's all his fault. Before he can recover, the Kailin forum erupts with new posts. Qin Sai reads countless cries about strange outbreaks and spreading parasites. Now scoffs at the chaos, while Chun Si explains Kailin is an underground network hard to erase. Gazing at the glittering city, he realizes survival means no more blind hiding. He starts planning to expel the parasite and return to normal, all while browsing online. A news post about a captured mutant makes Qin Shi instantly power off his phone. Now coldly notes they can still be tracked even with the phone off. As he finishes speaking, dozens of gun barrels aim at Chun Shi. Surrounded, he curses his bad luck but refuses to surrender. With a silent cue, now fully merges with his host. Qin Shi steps back into the shadows, activating his battle form as power erupts. Nao's golden eyes scan the circle, coldly picking the first kill target. The opposing unit tightens their cinced gunshield formation, ready to annihilate him. The Bureau opens fire, bullets rain, but Nao's armor nullifies them. His counterstrike fells them instantly. Their bodies burn in smoke, painting a scene of carnage. The last survivor stands frozen, torn between fight and flight. He grits his teeth, raising his weapon for a final desperate strike. His firepower surges, forcing Nao to dodge at full speed. Blue energy blasts fly as Nao weaves through them like dancing on death's edge. Their speeds blur, leaving only ghostly afterimages in the air. Seeing the enemy repeat one move, Nao loses patience. He flashes forward and severs the weapon. The finishing blow lands clean. Security's final hope is erased. Nao returns the body to Qin Shi, scoffing that the foes are weak yet troublesome. They retreat immediately, heading toward the nearby clock tower. As city lights glow, Qin Shi climbs creaking stairs, wary and doubtful of this ruin. At a dark hallway, he nervously asks if it's safe. Nao assures him this place is forgotten by the world. Following directions, they stop before a cluttered room. Qin Shi confirms they've arrived. He steps in cautiously, sensing disturbances and quietly questioning Nao. Nao grins wickedly, saying those presences are welcoming their new guest. Startled, Qin Shi is pulled into a glowing circle and urged to recite a chant. Though clueless, he repeats the cleansing spell as told. The moment he finishes, space begins to warp. The room twists violently. Now reveals it's a barrier sealed off from the world. When the seal completes, light flares then fades, revealing a tidy, warm chamber. The only odd thing is the eerie eyes lurking in the dark, watching him. Silence breaks as countless entities rush out from all directions, trapping Qin Shi. Though they swarm from everywhere, every gaze burns on him. Panic rising, he calls for Nao. Nao seems gone, leaving him to suffocate under invisible hands. At the brink, a commanding female voice scatters the spirits in fear. Qin Shi collapses, gasping, as a woman named Qing stands calmly amid the fading ghosts. She explains coolly they crave his body, but it already belongs to another. Feeling her killing intent, Qin Shi tenses, demanding to know who she is. Ignoring his hostility, she gently asks how life feels as a mutant host. Her authority vanishes when she suddenly falls flat to the floor. Amid splashing in tears, she mutters shamefully about her poor levitation skills. Qin Shi coldly concludes she's an agent sent by the Bureau. Without hesitation, he fuses with Nao and charges despite Nao's frantic protests. Qing's killing aura ignites. She lets him close before countering so fast he can't react. Invisible sound waves bind Qin Shi, suspending him helplessly midair. With one move, she grips his throat and lifts him high. Her icy face mocks the fool who dares cause trouble in her domain. As his throat tightens, Nao panics, urging him to beg, forcing Qin Shi to call her sister Qing. Hearing that, she releases him, letting him drop and gasp for air. Exhausted, his stunned as Qing scolds Nao, realizing she's no ordinary human. Nao carefully explains she's a sorceress with spirit eyes, over a century old and not to be offended. Without warning, Qing lifts Qin Shi again with psychic force. Amid suffocating pressure, she smirks, relishing his fear, and declares she'll take his body as a servant. Her lazy, teasing manner could drive anyone mad. She even offers lodging if held do chores. Furious, Qin Shi rejects the idea of living under someone else's thumb. Instead of anger, Qing grows more domineering, asserting he has no right to choose. Realizing the danger, Nao pleads for him to calm down. There's no way out now. Ignoring the warning, Qin Shi grabs Qing's ear in defiance. He mocks her further, while Nao panics, sensing disaster. The air freezes as invisible power tightens. Qing's wrath about to explode. Nao roars a warning, but chaos has already taken the wheel. Qing strikes instantly, slamming Tansai to the ground like a judge with zero chill. Dirt streak but defiant, Tansai glares up with pure stubborn fire. Unsatisfied, Qing lifts him midair with psychic force, sending him into full panic mode. Tancha's body is crushed against a freezing wall by invisible pressure. Overpowered yet fearless, he keeps shouting curses like a champ. Qing leans in, voice calm, almost savoring his helplessness. Radiating ancient might, Qing declares this the end zone for all aberrations and demands his surrender. Now steps in, trying to play peacemaker with soft words and good sense. Tansy refuses to yield, merging completely with Nio in blazing defiance. Freed from restraint, he attacks like a cornered beast. Qing counters mercilessly, blasting him away and coldly saying his fate is his own problem. In a blink, Tansy is hurled out a skyscraper window amid terrified screams. Below, two guards look up at the commotion and instantly freeze in shock. Tansy's falling body smashes into them before hitting the ground hard. Thanks to the unlucky duo's cushioning, he survives barely and curses his miserable luck. Now scolds him, reminding that Qing could help them escape and gather intel. Recalling the fight, Tansy realizes Qing knows the city well and might help him ditch his parasitic fate. Leaving the scene, he jokes about women's moods, then seriously asks Nao about Qing's preferences. Nao asks why, and Tansy bluntly replies he plans to win Qing's trust. Wandering in the dark, Tansy sighs when he finds his wallet and papers gone. Nao guesses they were lost during the brawl. Staring at his pitiful remaining cash, he feels rock bottom has a new definition. Desperate, Tansy tries a public phone booth, but the call won't connect. A robotic voice coldly says his access is restricted and he swears furiously. He tells Nao to memorize the number, and Nao cheerfully agrees. Moments later, Tansy quietly passes by a massive police chase scene. Standing by a canal in the cold wind, he grips the phone, realizing it's now a tracking risk. Under pale moonlight, he tosses it into the water with a firm goodbye. Ripples spread, swallowing the forsaken device. The phone sinks, vanishing into icy depths. Curious fish circle the strange object buried in sand. Suddenly, it lights up with a mysterious incoming call. The underwater glow catches an old man's eye, making him look around in awe. He wades through the fish and picks up the phone. Elsewhere, two maids politely see an elderly guest out. Haisha instantly shifts to a respectful tone, reporting to her master that the guest has left. In front of guests, she stays in her obedient maid role, activating a magic drink ritual. Exhausted, she blanks out and forgets her next line. A rude guest mocks her, making her tremble but forcing herself to recover. He makes lewd demands. Haisha hides her disgust behind a strained smile, crushed by debt. As he grows bolder, she tells herself to endure freedoms on the line. When he crosses the limit, she smashes a shaker over his head, silencing the bar. His buddies erupt in anger while other girls rush to apologize. Haisha storms out the back door, catching her breath, then her phone suddenly rings. Before she can speak, a furious voice floods her ear with relentless scolding. She drops the receiver, ignoring threats that shall be dumped into the slums if she fails to please the money boss. Realizing the money boss is a gold mine, Haisha sighs and decides to deal with him. Her eyes turn cold, a flash of killing intent slipping through. With a grim face, she heads back inside, her mind already plotting. Pretending to be innocent, Haisha apologizes to Yu Wei, offering a new drink to calm him down. When Yu Wei's hand slides down her thigh, she snaps back sharply. Aware of her advantage, she secretly releases a seductive scent, feigning weakness. Yu Wei sinks into illusion, murmuring dazed flirtations. Seeing the trap sprung, Haisha softly invites him out after work, and he eagerly agrees. At a love hotel, Yu Wei lounges on a sofa grinning stupidly. He hugs Haisha's illusion, swooning in bliss, unaware dangers near. The illusion fades, revealing a terrifying spirit that curses him awake in horror. He screams, body trembling in sheer terror. Before he reacts, a blow from behind knocks him out cold. A fox-shaped spirit circles Haisha, amplifying her menacing aura. Rifling through his wallet, she coldly complains about the pitiful cash. She freezes upon finding a card showing Yu Wei works for the intelligence division of the Security Bureau. Stunned, Haisha realizes the money boss was just a cover. After a long night, she exhales in relief, glad to have gained at least something. Meanwhile, Tansy stands at a phone booth, despairing after failing to borrow a single coin. Nao asks what's next, and Tansy grits his teeth, feeding his last coin into the slot. He mutters, wondering who's left to call. In her dorm, Haisha's phone rings. She answers despite the unknown number. Tansy lights up, introducing himself and asking if she remembers him. Surprised, Haisha admits she does from university days, though wary inside. Remembering old times, she asks why his calling from a strange number. Tansy explains he lost his phone, convincing Haisha and sparking new hope for his plan. Nao recalls how she once roped Tansy into a club, sensing deep potential between them. Tansy snaps, telling Nao to shut up. His reaction startles Haisha, so he hastily explains his calling from a public booth. Tansy admits his dangerous status and begs for help, while Haisha senses her own opportunity. Outwardly caring, Haisha listens as Tansy confesses losing both phone and wallet. After a pause, he asks to borrow money. Trapped in Chihuang with no way out, he adds his offended a major figure and needs cash to turn the situation around. Tansy and Nao wait nervously as Haisha weighs her own schemes and urgent troubles. She glances outside, planning to meet someone and request an advance from Bufeng. Haisha steels herself, believing that paying off her debt will win her freedom. Demons. After thinking it through, she agrees to lend the cash, but worries about the handoff since is wanted. Tangsai reassures her he'll collect it discreetly, though now feels uneasy. Haisha sets the drop point at Warehouse No. 4, Bayang Port, Zone 9 quiet and empty. Tanshi suddenly hangs up out of habit, leaving Haisha staring at the deadline. The phone booth runs out of credit, and Tanshi curses as the call cuts off. Hanging up, Haisha gazes at the glittering city, hoping Tansi evades the security bureau. On a lonely road, Tanshi trudges on while Nao suggests seeking help from his parents. That question stabs old wounds. Tanai recalls a childhood of neglect and insecurity. He says every effort was dismissed, every cry for help only brought more pain. His eyes dim with sorrow as he admits he never wanted to burden his parents. Leaving the dark road under a dim bridge light, Tanshi yawns, mind tangled. Spotting the homeless under the bridge, he tries to settle and then wakes up tied and hanging, panicking. One man laughs, saying he bound Tansi while he slept to make a profit, enraging him. The man excuses it as survival, warning the security bureau will soon arrive. Tanshi's patience snaps. Golden light flares in his eyes, radiating defiance. With one flex, his restraints explode, leaving everyone stunned. Landing proudly, Tanshi's aura shakes the ground. The power comes from his parasitic spirit under Nao's control. Energy surges like an ecstatic morning greeting. The panicked mob grabs weapons, determined not to let him escape. They charge wildly, reckless and crazed. One strikes his head, but the bat shatters and real fear dawns. The rest attack, but now flicks a finger, tossing them like toys as weapons crumble. A fat man with a bigger club roars and rushes forward. Nao doesn't dodge, simply glides past, shattering the club before contact. The glide rips his clothes apart, leaving him shamefully exposed. The leader trembles, begging for mercy and surrendering. Nao steps close, demanding directions to Bayang Port, which the man gives in a panic. With the info secured, Nao leaves him trembling and half-grazed. A whirlwind follows in Nao's wake, making onlookers stare as if seeing a mutant. Tansi lifts a manhole cover and slips into the underground tunnels to avoid more trouble. Suddenly, blinding light flares. A security bureau drone hovers in the sewer, stunning him. Both realize this new tech means stricter hunts and precise tracking of mutants. To stay safe and conserve power, Nao suggests reverting to human form and separating from Tanshi. That makes Tansi wonder why he still feels so limited. Nao explains the energy resonance between parasite and host, the reason Tansi never feels hunger. Understanding more, Tansh curiously asks if parasites ever devour each other. Nao bluntly describes the rule of the strong weak ones feed on ambient energy, the strong on humans. Those failing to find hosts become cruelly consumed by higher beings. The words awaken a primal fear in Tanshi, mirroring human society's brutal hierarchy. Nao likens a parasite finding a host to humans finding their destined soulmate. The thought of a chubby dragon curling around him makes Tanshi shudder. He firmly rejects that fate, insisting he still wants to be human. Nao hints at the past, saying Tansai once saved him. Tansai mutters he'd have handed Nao over if he remembered. Before arriving in Chihuang, Tansi had read grim stories of mutants crushed by the security bureau in Wild Rooster Forest, filling him with dread. One mutant in the reports described being tortured by light-emitting sonic devices that nearly tore his body apart. Though back in human form, that man remained frail and sick, begging the security bureau for accountability. The comments overflowed with sympathy, questioning why parasites were forcibly removed if harmless. After watching the video, Tansi wavered, wondering if he should continue, but the journey was irreversible. He lay back, thinking Chihuang was once forgotten but now shared by humans and mutants alike. Regaining resolve, Tansi told himself opportunity and pay here were worth it, then set off decisively. The mutant's warning haunted him: coexist with your parasite, or face living hell under the bureau. Back in reality, Tanshi walked through Relic Park near Bayang Port, planning to get Haisha's money and find Jai Qing. The park appeared ancient and ruined, filled with rough stone remnants. The eerie silence puzzled Tanshi, while Nio urged him to find higher ground to scout. He approached a large stone engraved with faint ancient carvings. Brushing off the dust, the markings slowly became clear. The inscription chronicled the history of the Divine Mother statue from prehistory to modern times. Notes added that mining destroyed the statue, causing a fracture event. Words that made Tanshi uneasy. Those two words triggered horrific memories, making both Nio and Tanshi writhe in shared pain from a shattered realm. They clutched their heads, screaming as agony from memory burned through their bodies. Nio managed to explain it was the Mountain Sea realm, his homeland, filled only with beastly spirits. In that world, endless life-and-death battles raged to crown the strongest. Tanshi suddenly became a plump dragon. Now explained it was his original memory and a duel was starting. Facing an unknown foe, Tanshi panicked. Now reminded him that was Tianlan, a warrior claiming territory. Now urged him to strike with his claws and reclaim his rightful land. Tanshi lunged, amazed by his new form as he blocked Tianlan's massive claw attack. Now clarified they fought not out of hatred, but as duty to their clans for survival itself. Mid-battle, cracks tore open the sky, sending all mountain sea beasts into chaos. Amid the panic, they shouted for each other to hold on as a crushing force pulled them in. Now helplessly recounted how they couldn't resist and were dragged away, falling into the human world, their forms warped called ancient beasts sent to punish the miners. Losing control, those creatures harmed innocent civilians as well. The vision shifted. Tan Shi became a clueless miner dragged through the chaos. Moments later he was prey to a beast, and Nio screamed he wasn't strong enough to fight. A bird-shaped beast dove, blood exploding across the ground in a terrifying instant. The tragedy spread. War between humans and beasts consumed the surrounding lands. Even after driving off the miners, the exhausted defenders failed to protect the relics and suffered massive losses. As the rift sealed, trapped ancient beasts watched a dying guardian blame himself for a fatal mistake. In the illusion, Tan Shi was torn apart by a beast, dying in despair before he could resist. On the other side, the ancient beasts too began to dissolve. Unable to return or survive as monsters, they slowly transformed into spirit forms. Now made Tan Shi witness it all, explaining they couldn't adapt to this world and could only exist as souls. Then Now remerged into Tan Shi, pulling him out of the memory and back to Relic Park. Now continued, saying the spirits were once trapped in darkness until an explosion freed him. He had tried possessing many creatures but failed each time. Later, Now met young Tan Shi and Zhong Liqing, who helped him survive and offered two paths. Tan Shi, confused, asked why the security bureau still hunted them if they'd overcome danger. Now replied that all parasites were targets in the cocoon-breaking plan, needing massive spirit energy. Tan Shi realized the one behind it was Tai Yi Wang, ruler of Qi Huang, guardian of the Central Tower's interdimensional gate. Nio froze upon hearing the gate still existed and suspected Zhong Liqing of hiding the truth. Tan Shi noted his reaction, resolving to meet Zhong Liqing but first handle the current mess. Standing atop a rock ledge overlooking the port, he confirmed Bayongport as his next target and set off. On a skyscraper screen, the morning news was broadcasting live. A charming anchor introduced breaking news about mutants with commentary from Dr. Oko Sino. The CEO appeared, declaring that mutants' survival among humans depended on their parasite's nature. Research showed two opposite types of parasitic spirits, positive and negative. The positive ones were gentle, coexisting peacefully, and even healing human psychological flaws. When pressed by the anchor, Oko Sino admitted such spirits could soothe minds like emotional pets. Yet he warned negative parasites were dangerous, able to control hosts and unleash animal instincts. The anchor worried, if host and parasite shared similar traits, would that be worse? Io Kashino explained that heavily pursued mutants often fell into that case, their personalities fused over time. He compared it to a clashing couple whose natures affect each other, though science had no clear proof yet. Seeing the shock value reached, the anchor ended with advice not to face dark parasites alone or be seduced by them. The program urged mutants to contact the Security Bureau for protection as normal citizens. Oko Sino added that all parasites trigger special abilities, turning hosts into evolving defense systems. Meanwhile, Tan Shi reached the port zone. Following a straight route, he strolled into the abandoned D4 warehouse, looking oddly unworried. After scanning the area, he spotted a golden mark Hai Shaz's unmistakable sign. Seeing it, he froze, realizing something was off. He quickly grabbed the attached note and skimmed the lines. It was Hai Shaz's apology. She confessed to tricking him but left one item, wishing him escape from the bureau. One glance made Now furious, confirming his earlier suspicions completely. Before they could speak further, figures appeared at the doorway, blocking every exit. Leading them, familiar high heels clicked. Bufeng smugly announced the trap had long been set, leaving Tan Shi seething. She savored the shock and helplessness written all over his face. Elsewhere, Haisha beamed as the money arrived, believing she could finally pay her debt and flee. She hid in a corner, scheming while secretly watching the situation unfold. Even in crisis, Haisha couldn't help swooning a bit. Tanch really was dangerously handsome. She quickly shakes off the distraction, telling herself to watch whether Tan Sai escapes, and maybe gather evidence on the Security Bureau. Just then, Tan Shi is restrained and kicked hard in the knee. He collapses but grits through the searing pain. Bufeng mocks him slowly, recounting his humble origins and accusing him of disorder, denying him any easy exit. Tan Shi lifts his head, declaring he'd have died long ago without his parasite. He vows never to betray the being that saved him, while Haisha secretly records, admiring his resolve. Bufeng softens her tone, pretending respect and offering help. She stares intently, waiting for the obedient answer she expects. Instead, Tan Shi stays silent, head bowed. He exposes that he knows how miserable mutants become after separation and won't trust false promises. He lashes out, demanding the Bureau answer for those who died in agony after being cured. The guards ready their guns, but Bufeng signals them to hold fire. She coldly asks if Tan Sai plans to live with his parasite forever. She plants fear, warning the parasite will slowly consume his humanity. Cold sweat breaks over Tan Shi as the threat sinks in. Voices fill his mind, visions of being controlled and body stolen. Mixed within his Nios' desperate plea not to be torn away and cast back into darkness. Tansy wonders in panic what that dark void truly is. The mental and physical pain peaks. He clutches his head and screams. Haisha realizes his losing control, while Bufeng quietly readies a special weapon. Before them, Tansy mumbles incoherently, nearly collapsing. Seeing danger, Haisha panics and shouts for everyone to stop. Manipulated by Bufeng's words, Tanch feels trapped between torment and despair. Bufeng grips her weapon tighter, sowing doubt humans shouldn't trust monsters, only the Bureau is safe. While now, suffering, still honors Tanch's choice, Bufeng keeps pressuring him to surrender the spirit. Tansy raises his hand in despairing defiance, torn between saving now or letting go. Bufeng poised to strike. The standoff shatters as Haisha suddenly screams, startling Bufeng into demanding who dared interrupt. Haisha's arrival shifts all attention, opening a fleeting window. Her familiar voice steadies Tance's mind. His only goal now is escaping with Now. Bufeng attacks but Now dives into Tance's soul, merging instantly. The fusion releases a shockwave, staggering Bufeng and shattering her weapon. Now seizes full control, widening the gap between them and the Bureau forces. Realizing the reversal, Bufeng panics. Things are spiraling beyond control. Still restrained, Haisha keeps her eyes on Tanchi, heedless of the danger. Half transformed, Tanchi remains lucid, firmly declaring he won't surrender himself. Bufeng, seeing this hybrid form for the first time, can't hide her astonishment. Nio explains it's the synchronous state, power born from absolute trust, unlocking a second form. Tansy marvels at the new harmony. He's finally the master of his body and shared power. Losing all advantage, Bufeng fumes. Tance's evolution has exceeded all expectations. Haisha takes the chance to apologize for using him to buy her freedom, and Tanchi surprises her by confirming her identity from old letters. Bufeng sneers at their messy bond while Haisha denies her past and quietly notes her own power limits. On the other side, Tanchi cautiously plans, aware his new body still needs time to adjust and test its abilities. Without warning, Bufeng orders immediate capture. Cornered, Tansy bolts for the nearest exit at full speed. The security squad opens fire in unison to cut him off. With superhuman speed, Tansy dodges every shot, impossible to target. Haisha, terrified yet amazed, shouts that one electround hit would paralyze him completely. A guard grabs a hostage while drawing a freshly issued weapon. He clamps a hand over Haisha's mouth, silencing her from spilling any word. Tansy descends lightly from above, body weightless as air. With a few swift moves, he slams one guard to the ground. In that instant, a heavy bullet rockets straight at him. The explosion staggers him briefly, but when the smoke clears, jaws drop. His bone armor proves tougher than steel. Artillery rounds barely scratch it. Sensing danger, Bufeng commands full firepower, no restraint. Barrages rain down, all aimed at one target. The warehouse shakes violently, near collapse. The tremor catches the attention of a nearby high-ranking figure. Old Master Wu surveys the ruin, chuckles, and calmly reports he'll join the fight himself. Zhang Chungao icily orders him to seize the parasite within Tansy. Anyone in the way dies. Wu replies in obedience, crushes his comm device, furious that chaos erupted on his turf. The battle pauses briefly as both sides catch their breath. Bufeng peers into the haze, then Tansy steps out calmly, fully adapted and terrifying. He raises gleaming claws, smirking like it's finally his turn. Tansy charges the nearest enemy without hesitation. The man barely reacts before a crushing punch floors him. The remaining guards shout and rush forward together. Tance's cold eyes flicker while Haisha, restrained, screams for help to distract them. Even mid-fight, he calculates fast. Rescuing Haisha won't be easy. On his advance, Tance's iron fists clear obstacles one after another. Just as he nears his goal, a spiked sphere whips past his face. The guard wielding the bizarre weapon strains to guide its deadly arc. Chains lash out, binding both Tance's wrists tight. Trapped, he hears the enemy's demand to surrender hissed in his ear. Tansy says nothing, yanking both chains with brute force. The violent pull shatters the links like soap bubbles. The handler crashes to the floor in pitiful defeat. Another guard, panicking, draws his weapon for defense. Even so, he clings to Haisha, refusing to release her. Suddenly, blinding light floods the warehouse. Bufeng herself joins the fray. She screams insults at Tansy, voice dripping with killing intent. Then she drives her heavy heel straight toward his head. The blow sends Tansy flying back over a meter. Watching that power, Haisha freezes in terror. Even now can't help but praise the sheer force of that kick. Bufeng smirks, boasting her rank as captain, while Tansy mutters disdain for her cruelty and arrogance. Tansy calmly warns Bufeng to back off, but she snaps back that brute strength won't fix the mess is made. The moment he doubts, Haisha catches on Bufeng is just stalling for time, using her men as proof. Mid-argument, the downed security units suddenly start standing up again. Tansy is stunned. Those smart machines can actually self-repair. Still, he stands firm, refusing to let Haisha be taken away. Tansy suggests they target other mutants, instead is not someone to mess with. Bufeng scoffs, saying the parasite has scrambled Tanshi's brain and that Haisha's helping him. She lays bare the brutal truth of Sichuan City: lose your freedom, and your only choices are to run or obey. Feng admits capturing Tan Sai is part of her plan. His value could promote her to commander of District 11. She declares herself worthy and even offers Tan Shi a spot in her group if he gives up being human. Then she bluntly asks if he'll join her side. Tan Shi presses his lips, pretending to think it over. Despite being restrained, Haisha screams, exposing Feng's ambition to steal the parasite. If Tan Shi had seen the slum's tragedies, he'd know how many fell for honeyed lies like that. After a long pause, Tan Shi utters two cryptic words. Feng brightens up, thinking his agreed. Instead, Tan Shi smirks and declares hell never side with hypocrites. Enraged by the insult, Feng orders his capture. Her guards ready their weapons, spinning chain orbs menacingly. Before they strike, an uninvited guest lands on the rooftop. Old Wu bellows for the small fry to move aside. The prey belongs to him. He drops down like a demon, the impact scattering debris. Tan Shi's reflexes save him from the lethal blow. Old Wu grins coldly, retracting his steel anchor. Without pause, he launches another assault. He even hurls a whole container, aiming to crush Tan Shi flat. Haisha, still restrained, screams his name in panic. Feng freezes as the situation flips, her men terrified after angering Old Wu. Without a word, he flings his anchor, killing a guard instantly. After cleaning up, Old Wu greets Feng and claims Tan Shi as his prey, making her blanch at his name. As she realizes who he is, Tan Shi lunges like a ghost, striking back full force. The fierce clash knocks Old Wu's anchor off its path. Hit but amused, Old Wu laughs, mocking that Tan Shi's best weapon is just his claws. Now senses danger and warns him, but Tan Shi still gets ambushed from the side. Old Wu slams Tan Shi into the ground like tossing a toy. He chases relentlessly, grumbling about tracking this prey through Zone 9 for too long. Tan Shi scrambles away from a slicing attack sharp as a saw. Dodging, he demands to know his opponent's identity. Distracted, Old Wu takes a solid kick that forces him back. Pausing the fight, he introduces himself as a hunter sent by Zhang Chun, targeting the high-level parasite inside Tan Shi and vows to claim it at any cost. Old Wu licks his lips hungrily, hinting he might just swallow his prey whole. Now quickly warns that he's from the Hunter Guild, making Tan Shi wary. Old Wu ignores it, charging in like a storm, praising Tan Shi's strength mid-fight as Feng's subordinates panic. Now explains the guild hides in Chichuang's mutant zone, earning fortunes by hunting on commission. Watching from afar, Feng vows not to miss her shot at the District 11 command seat. Once from a family richer than nations, now wiped out for defying the organization, she's the lone survivor. Remembering her father's dying wish, Feng's eyes turn cold. She alone will restore her clan and rule District 11. Meanwhile, the duel before her remains fierce and undecided. Feng eyes Haisha, thinking a hostage will keep Tan Shi trapped. She decides to wait until both sides wear each other out, then swoop in for the win. Old Wu fights harder and laughs louder, while Tan Shi, even with armor, starts losing ground. The battle rages from ground to rooftop, wrecking everything in sight. One slip, and Tan Shi takes a brutal anchor blow to the gut. From below, Old Wu tightens the chain, grinding it in with extra force. The combo sends Tan Shi flying off the roof, and Old Wu dives after him without mercy. In crisis, Tan Shi retreats cleverly, leaving Old Wu confused by the empty roof, unaware his prey hides below. Holding his breath, Tan Shi stays still as Old Wu wanders off, taunting while missing the mark. Below, Feng discusses tactics, convinced her target can't escape. Tan Shi locks eyes on Haisha, while Feng also turns her focus toward the girl. Old Wu resumes the chase, even tossing a container down, making Haisha scream in terror. Feng freezes as chaos flips again, her guards panicking after striking Old Wu by mistake. Without warning, Old Wu hurls his anchor, killing a blocker instantly and declaring this fate unavoidable. He spins into a slaughter, wiping out the security bureau one by one. A severed head rolls to Feng's feet, shocking her into joining the fight herself to test her machine body's limits. Drawing Twin Tonfez, she charges the mutant hunter with vengeful fury. Her fierce aura makes Old Wu instinctively steady his breath and brace himself. Her Tonfez dance sharply, every strike aimed at a vital point. Sadly, her opponent's a veteran who deflects every blow with ease. When their eyes meet, Feng elbows in and follows up with a fierce combo. The pain stiffens Old Wu, but he realizes she's charging for another strike. He swings his anchor in retaliation but misses as Feng leaps aside. Seizing the gap, she smashes her Tonfa into his arm. A loud battle cry erupts before she kicks straight into his chin. As she lands, Old Wu regains balance and hurls his anchor, forcing her to block with all she has. Lightly wounded but drained, Feng trembles, her limbs near overload. Old Wu cracks his neck, admits her skill, but says his true prey is still Tan Shi. That snaps Feng back. She orders her troops to chase in the direction Old Wu went. Elsewhere, Haisha apologizes guiltily, and Tan Shi sighs, saying they should leave first. He casually hands her a thorn staff for self-defense. Haisha takes the staff awkwardly as Tan Shi quickly leads the retreat, forcing her to chase after him breathlessly. Suddenly, containers emit strange noises, setting off every alarm in Tan Shi's senses. Without hesitation, he warns of danger and urges Haisha to fall back. Before he finishes, Old Wu gleefully swings his anchor straight at him. Tangsai doesn't flinch. He grabs old Wu Hedon and slams both of them into a pile of containers, shouting for Haisha to run. This time Now doesn't need to say a word. He feels the rhythm of battle himself and laughs at their perfect sync. The two clash fiercely as old Wu fights while lecturing about Tanshi's core and hidden potential. His arrogance enrages Tan Si, who channels everything into a punch that sends old Wu flying. Watching in shock, Haisha can only stammer, speechless. Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps draws near. Bofeng surveys the field and decides to use Haisha as bait to trade for Tans's parasite. Her cold order freezes Haisha as she's seized. Surrounded, Haisha faces both threats and persuasion, but her eyes stay defiant. Panicked inside, she tells herself to stay strong. In the tense air, 2 or 3 of her clones suddenly appear, stunning Bofeng. As Bofeng hesitates, Haisha pales, avoiding eye contact. She doesn't even understand what's happening. Bofeng quickly realizes something's off. Clone skills aren't typical of a normal mystic. Bound, Haisha panics and screams denial of being one. Just then, Ju Wei manifests, guiding her to stay calm and focus her mind like before. Haisha steadies herself, ignoring Bofeng's mockery, recalls the feeling of power bursting out, and nods. Misreading the reaction, Bofeng grows excited, eager to seize Haisha's parasite to secure her ambition. But before she can act, Haisha's clones strike back, flooring the guards in an instant. Afterward, Haisha pants an apology, declaring she won't go quietly anymore. Bofeng readies her stance, insisting Tansi won't come to save her. Elsewhere, Tanshi still duels fiercely with old Wu on Yunnan. Another crushing punch sends old Wu crashing into a container. Rising quickly, he admits Tansi's strength and reveals the super sensibility came from him. Unharmed, old Wu lifts a container to counter, forcing Tanshi to dodge as a warning signal rings in his mind. Mid-boast, old Wu gets slammed back, his spine smashing the wall. Tansi presses the assault, chaining relentless strikes from all angles. The body once deemed indestructible finally cracks, his defenses visibly torn apart. Before he can groan, Tanshi sternly demands an end to this pointless slaughter. The next punch launches old Wu away, his body shattering more containers as his strength fades. Seeing his pitiful state, Tanshi smirks, proving he has more than just sharp claws. Gasping in pain, old Wu bitterly concedes defeat, but vows that no one here will leave alive. The cryptic words stun Tanshi, who can't yet grasp their meaning. Old Wu laughs madly, revealing the final hunter's rule to drag prey down with them, in death sending chills down Tanshi's spine. At that moment, Tanshi senses Bofeng locked in brutal combat with Haisha. Horrified, he dashes off like lightning, leaving old Wu's insane laughter echoing behind him. Tansi yells for them to stop fighting immediately. The place is about to blow. But the self-destruct has already triggered, forcing him to sprint toward Haisha in desperation. Blinding light engulfs everything. Panicked cries echo as the warehouse turns to ash. Far offshore, a military warship slowly approaches the coast. Zhang Chun peers through binoculars, regretting old Wu's failure yet satisfied with the outcome. He coldly issues a new order. The target remains Tanshi, alive or dead, bring him back. Amid thick smoke, coughing survivors stir as Haisha hoarsely confirms they're still alive. Tanshi struggles under the rubble, straining to clear a path for the 2 women to escape. Elsewhere, desperate pleas echo as Li Qing silently walks deeper into the dark prison. A trembling man confesses he was forced by the Security Bureau to leak intel, begging that he never betrayed the organization. Li Qing coldly declares cowards unworthy of mercy and decides to offer him to the god Hyla. At that name, the man trembles, realizing the ancient entity has truly descended into this world. Massive tentacles burst forth, crushing the cage and dragging the sinner before the Great One amid horrified screams. Unfazed, Li Qing explains that the god Hala was once a sacred beast who opposed the king of Taiyi, but was sealed here after defeat. When the great Hala speaks, the man shrieks in mindless terror. His spirit flees his body, groveling to serve the Great One, leaving his human shell frozen in betrayal. Before he can beg again, the great Hala swiftly ends his life. After devouring him, the deity rumbles approval of the rare flavor and asks why Li Qing has come. Li Qing kneels, begging to continue walking the path long chosen under his guidance. The plea draws curious spirits, who flock around to watch. They lift her gently and carry her closer before the Great One. Observing her, the great Hala perceives another mutant reaching resonance with a superior parasite. He calls the name now, recalling how the spirit was once sheltered before leaving after mastering the spirit claw. Now that Nio has merged life with a human, he could shake Sichuan City's order and bring hope to mutant kind. Li Qing bows to accept the decree, vowing to bring Tanshi into their fold. The great Hala commands her to protect the parasites and prevent the cocoon-breaking plan of the king of Taiyi, to save both humans and mutants from apocalypse. Back at the ruined warehouse, Haisha shyly helps Tanshi up while Bofeng quietly bandages her wounds. The 2 girls argue briefly over gratitude until Haisha reluctantly thanks Tanshi for risking his life to save them. Now checks Tansi's condition, assuring his only drained and just needs rest. Tansi is shocked to learn Haisha's parasite can talk, while she smiles and introduces herself as bearing Ju Wei. Now scowls, recalling old grudges with the nine-tailed fox and suspecting hidden motives. Tianxi's easy laughter breaks the tension, and Haisha calmly explains her scent helps him recover mentally. The sudden intimacy stuns Bofeng, who begins to suspect is already fully recovered. Seeing the twin glares of killing intent aimed her way, she panics and steps back for safety. Forcing her mind to stay calm, she realizes the smartest move now is to retreat to headquarters and plan ahead. At that very moment, Zhang Chun's troops storm in, bringing the reek of smoke and chaos with them. Zhang Chun calmly surveys the scene, then slowly draws the spirit-slashing blade from its sheath. That subtle motion doesn't escape Haisha's sharp eyes, who notices Tianxi's brief hesitation. Elsewhere, the great Hala explains to Li the tragic origin the wound from that very blade has burned within him for millennia. The weapon is the supreme killing relic, able to destroy both humans and spirits, lost since the failed cocoon-breaking campaign. Later, Hala forged the spirit nest, but the rebellious spirit now stole it and vanished. Yet the Great One holds no grudge toward weaker spirits. They are under his rule and beneath his concern. Lai Qing coolly remarks that Naos' human host is a reckless fool, who'll resurface once hunted hard enough. Hala sighs and points to District 9 as the next window of action, making Lai Qing bow to accept the mission. Old memories flood her mind, betrayal, promises, pain, and hope all tied to that blade. The molten heat of the past fuses with her resolve to restore order, forging unshakable will. Li Qing rushes toward Zhang Chun and Tianxi's battlefield, intent on severing their master-disciple bond and returning the spirit-slashing blade to its true owner. Caught off guard, Tianxi snaps in irritation, demanding to know her identity. Zhang Chun answers with action, swinging his blade and declaring his intent to kill. Luckily, Tianxi dodges the fatal blow, earning Zhang Chun's grudging respect for his speed. Tianxi retaliates fiercely, forcing Zhang Chun to raise his sword in defense. The violent impact sends shockwaves, blasting Zhang Chun backward. Without pausing to recover, Tianxi charges again like a madman. Seeing his predictable style, Zhang Chun seeks a chance to counter, but each attempt is blocked. He switches to taunting, mocking Tianxi for fighting like a brute beast. Unfazed, Tianxi replies that any method is fine as long as it ends things fast. The chase drags on until Tianxi slips up, revealing a weakness Zhang Chun immediately exploits. He pulls back and twists in a sharp counterattack. An elbow strike slams into Tianxi's gut, leaving him doubled over in pain. Naos' late warning fails to stop the next slash, sending Tianxi flying. Smirking, Zhang Chun licks the blood off his cheek, savoring his victory. Seeing no spirit emerge, he coldly says it's better to kill the host than risk a failed parasite. Tianxi panics his wounds aren't regenerating, something's seriously wrong. Now urgently warns him that the spirit-slashing blade can kill both man and spirit, forcing Tianxi to rise. Shocked, Tianxi scolds now for the late notice, gripping him by the throat in frustration. Suddenly, the recon system pings a deadly signal, freezing Tianxi in place. Meanwhile, Haisha struggles against combat robots, careful not to harm others. Bofeng spots the advanced gear from District 9 and orders her team to seize it all. Before finishing, she feels a chill behind her and spins around. Her reflexes save her from a surprise mechanical strike. Panic overtakes her as she screams, confused why she's being targeted. At that moment, Tianxi rushes in to reinforce Haisha's front line. Seeing him, Haisha hurriedly asks about his condition. Though he insists he's fine, she notices his serious wounds and offers healing aid. Zhang Chun joins the fray, mocking Bofeng for overstepping her authority and trespassing outside her jurisdiction. His cold, killing voice threatens to wipe out both Bofeng and the mutants, his grip tightening on the spirit-slashing blade. The sight chills Bofeng. She realizes that blade is now in his hands. Memories of her vanished master, and that inseparable weapon spark a terrifying suspicion. Meanwhile, Haisha reports her healing isn't working, but Tianxi gently tells her to save her strength. Both Jiwei and Nio admit they're drained, saying this wound needs outside help. Rage surges as Bofeng screams, demanding to know why Zhang Chun holds the spirit-slashing blade. He snarls back, blaming her master for sabotaging the plan and claiming he only followed orders. Grinding her teeth, Bofeng readies to charge, realizing this man killed her teacher. She snaps, exposing their shared discipleship and demanding the truth behind his betrayal. A chill sweeps through the air as he grins wickedly, calling her senior sister. The familiar title makes Tianxi pause, blurting out a question about Zhong Lai Qing's identity. With years of lore, Nio explains that her sect once had countless disciples. Zhong Lai Qing once commanded District 9, but was presumed dead after a failed mission, scattering her sect in fear and suspicion. The disciples fled, some to the underworld, when a mysterious mystic brazenly entered before their guards. Instead of threats, the stranger cheerfully claimed to be there seeking employment. When the guards' weapons shattered instantly, panic spread until their leader nervously allowed him through. Hearing this, Tianxi guesses both were mystics, but now corrects him. The Zhongli disciples also mastered secret martial arts. Mysticism demands rare hereditary talent, though exceptions do exist. Zhang Chun sneers at his senior sister, saying she too once craved command, but he simply took the faster route. The jab makes Bofeng's blood boil. She insists she never schemed to usurp their master. To him, such ideals or laughable rules exist only for those in power, and people are just pawns. Zhang Chun boasts he controls District 9's game and mocks Bofeng for abusing her rank, earning the hatred of other commanders. He drops a bombshell. District 11 now belongs to the Zhang Beiqing clan by order of the governor, leaving Bofeng speechless. Her stunned reaction fuels his cruelty as he vows to erase her from the candidate list in the name of fairness. His monologue ends abruptly when Tanxi's naive question cuts in, enraging him into ordering robots to surround them. Amid the standoff, Haisha calmly says she's fine, while Tanxi nods as she explains Chichuang City's tangled politics. The city's power structure relies on great districts ruled by noble families, each commander appointed by the king of Tai. Zhang Beichang's clan is one such family, constantly locked in secret rivalries with the others. Zhang Chun bluntly exposes his senior sister's identity, hinting her rise was riddled with secrets that forced her to live as a commoner. Bofeng admits she's a descendant of Lalayat, enduring humiliation for years to one day restore her bloodline. Unable to bear the venomous exchange, Haisha bursts in, angrily asking whose side Bofeng is on. Seeing the tide turn, Zhang Chun drops his facade, declaring he'll betray anyone who threatens his family's interests. His words dredge up the memory of their parting, when Li Qing told Bofeng to preserve the Lalayat bloodline. Back then, Bofeng could understand why her master refused to let her follow. Back then, Li Qing half-joked that she only did it to protect her foolish disciple. That cryptic remark haunted Bofeng for years, with no clear answer. Still, she followed every instruction: hide her identity, and take whatever job ensured survival in Chichuang. After her master's silhouette vanished, Bofeng lived in a hollow daze that never faded. Remembering their last meeting brings tears to her eyes, her face twisted with pain and despair. Amid the brutal battlefield, Bofeng nearly gives up, ready to accept her grim fate. Just then, a robot's blade shatters mid-swing, stunning both Zhang Chun and Bofeng. Tanxi had stepped in to block it for her, eyes blazing with fury and teeth gritted under the impact. Haisha, half a beat late, shouts encouragement, reminding Bofeng of her old spirit. Tanxi's casual question about Zhonglai Qing shocks both former disciples. They've been found out. His calm tone unsettles Zhang Chun, especially upon hearing Li Qing is still alive. Both freeze in disbelief their master isn't dead. Bofeng rushes to grab Tanxi, bombarding him with questions until he calms her down. Catching his breath, Tanxi explains they met earlier, but it was all a misunderstanding. Zhang Chun spirals into confusion as memories of betrayal resurface. He'd been sure Li Qing couldn't have survived. Now laughs at his nada VDA, saying with Li Qing's skill, surviving was inevitable. Tanxi echoes now, calling Zhang Chun a heartless traitor who'd even turn on family. Before he can finish, agony floods Tanxi's body, sending him convulsing to the ground. Seeing him collapse, Haisha rushes over in panic, crying out in worry. Looking at his bloodied hand, Tanxi trembles. His waist wound burns like fire to the bone. Zhang Chun laughs madly, boasting of the spirit-slashing blade's power to kill both man and spirit. Haisha immediately channels spirit energy to stabilize Tanxi's condition. Zhang Chun gives no respite, coldly ordering a full assault. His soldiers surge forward from every direction. Bofeng shifts fully to support Tanxi's group, forced into open combat. She kicks down an ambusher, catching Zhang Chun off guard, while Haisha cheers loudly. Overwhelmed by robot pressure, Bofeng is driven back, landing hard and exhausted. Still, she stalls for time so Haisha can recover. When Tanxi regains a bit of strength, he thanks her, only for Bofeng to snap at him to get back in the fight. Though not fully healed, Haisha joins in again, giving Tanxi a brief sense of relief. Bofeng takes the chance to ask about Zhonglai Qing's whereabouts, and Tanxi says he'll talk once they escape. Within seconds, Bofeng agrees to a temporary alliance given the dire situation. Suddenly, a sneak attack strikes, but Haisha shoves Tanxi aside just in time. Tanxi swiftly counterattacks, thanking her and assuring he can still handle it. Even with morale high, he feels uneasy as his wound keeps bleeding. Deciding to end it fast, Tanxi charges ahead, Bofeng sliding in to cover his flank. The trio is soon surrounded, each clearly near exhaustion. Zhang Chun watches and laughs, declaring he'll bury them here. Tanxi proposes a plan to lure Zhang Chun away, leaving the others to handle the robots. He reveals their final rendezvous point, the abandoned clock tower, and vows to return. Bofeng shakes her head, calling the plan reckless. Before they can argue, Zhang Chun, radiating murderous intent, lunges straight at Tanxi. Realizing the danger, Tanxi shouts for the team to split up. Zhang Chun chased with full force, swinging his sword without hesitation. Instead of fighting, Qinshi turned and fled to lure the enemy away. Furious, Zhang Chun ordered a blockade while Qinshi taunted them as he ran.